Hey, Mitch Tram here. Let's talk expensive versus budget fishing reels today and what actually matters. We're going to be looking at spinning reels. So these are spinning reels that I own. Some are relatively expensive, like these pins over here. Some are budget, like this KastKing and this Okuma. And some are kind of right in the middle, like this Daiwa and this 13 Fishing. And here's the honest truth. A lot of anglers overspend on the wrong things and underspend on things that actually matter. So today I want to show you where your money really goes in a spinning reel and where it doesn't. This isn't about brand loyalty. It's about design, durability, and reality. I'm not here to tell you that you need an expensive reel like this Penn Slammer over here. And I'm also not going to tell you that a budget reel is junk like this Okuma Avenger. I fish freshwater, inshore saltwater, surf, and these reels have all seen use in both fresh and saltwater. What I want to answer is this. What actually changes as you move from budget to mid-range to premium? When you pay more for a spinning reel, you're not just paying for smoothness or bearings. You're paying for three real things. You're paying for the materials, so metal bodies versus graphite versus plastic, higher quality gears made of higher quality materials, better tolerances, and all the fit from the gears to the bearings to the handle. And, metal bodies don't flex under load. And that matters when you're fighting larger fish. So something to think about if you have a plastic body reel. You're also paying for sealing and corrosion resistance. So thinking about this Penn Slammer here, this is where expensive reels separate themselves. Not because they catch more fish, doesn't catch any more fish, because they survive longer. And then consistency over time. Most reels, they feel great out of the box. The question is, how do they feel after a year of fishing? Let's talk about some budget reels. This is an Okuma Avenger, and this is a KastKing Sharky Bait Feeder 3. Both of these reels are around 60 bucks or less. So they're not super cheap, but they're definitely budget reels. And what they're good for? If you're casually freshwater fishing, if you're using them for light inshore use, occasional trips, 4 or 6 times a year. They're also great for learning techniques and practice on maintenance. The Okuma Avenger and the KastKing Sharky will absolutely catch fish. If you're rinsing them, maintaining them, and not abusing them, they're fine and they'll last a long time. Maintenance and care are critical for budget reels. And both of these reels have seen a lot of action. You can see some rock rash or boat rash on both of them. And they're both probably 7 to 10 years old. They've caught lots and lots of fish. So let's just listen to see what they sound like. And this Okuma, it really needs to be torn down and cleaned. It still feels okay from a smoothness standpoint, but it's not reeling very well anymore. The KastKing, it's gotten a little bit rough over time, but like I said, both these reels have caught tons and tons of fish, and they have been maintained, and I will continue to maintain them. I will continue to fish them. There's nothing wrong with them. For a lot of anglers, a budget reel is the right choice. And in all honesty, this was me for a lot of years. I couldn't justify spending $100 or $200 on a reel. So I bought budget gear and I took really good care of it. Very productive for me. But once again, it comes down to making sure you're taking care of your gear. So where are some of the shortcomings on budget gear? We talked a little about flex under load. Both of these have metal bodies, but some budget gear have plastic bodies. Don't confuse that with graphite. Graphite doesn't flex, but plastic does. the fit and, less expensive materials, and just the lower tolerances, they wear faster. The sealing, the budget gear is typically not going to be water and salt water. And water doesn't ask permission. It finds a way in. This is where proper care and maintenance become critical for budget gear, for sure. You want to be able to take them apart and maintain them probably a couple of times a year if you use them quite a bit. And anytime they get dunked in salt water, they need to be taken completely apart, cleaned, otherwise corrosion will occur. Then, there's not much you can do. You can't buy parts for budget gear typically. And they don't fail catastrophically, right? They just slowly kind of wear over time. And they start getting rougher. And you can see that on both these reels. And like I said, they've been used a lot, but they're definitely rougher than any of my other reels at this point. Let's talk about the mid-range. If you can afford and justify the increase in price, this is where I think the sweet spot is. These reels, looking at these two right here, this is a Daiwa and this is a 13 Fishing. This is an Avenger, a 13 Fishing Architect, and this is a Daiwa Legolas LT, I believe is how you pronounce it. And both of these reels, when they came out, were slightly under $100, right? And I think the Architect now is going end of life, and you can get some pretty good deals on it for, 50 or 60 bucks. The Daiwa is probably still in the $70, $80, $90 range. You get better gear alignment, gear tolerances and bearing tolerances, handle tolerances, everything all around typically has a higher tolerance on the mid-range gear. There's lighter designs. A lot of times you might find something made out of graphite. You're not typically going to see any plastic bodies in a mid-range reel. You get improved drags, maybe carbon drags, and some of the budget gear may have a carbon drag too, maybe a smoother drag, and just better tolerance all around. Now, these reels are also 4 or 5 years old. Still very smooth. And Daiwa does a great job with keeping reels lightweight and just having them buttery smooth. The 13 Fishing, both of these reels are great examples of solid design without luxury pricing. For most freshwater anglers and light salt use, this category makes the most sense. It's kind of, the sweet spot, the bang for your buck. Now let's talk about expensive reels and when they're actually justified. So we have a slammer here and we have a spin fisher here. The slammer is IPX6 rated. It's fully waterproof. You can dunk this thing, right? The spin fisher is IPX5, which means it will withstand a lot of spray, maybe a light dunking. It's not fully waterproof, but it is much better sealed than typical spinning reels. So they make sense for you if you're in the salt all the time. If you're around sand, so you're in the surf fishing. And the other thing is you don't baby your gear. You want something that lasts for years without a ton of maintenance. These reels aren't smoother because they're more expensive. They're expensive because they're built to survive. They don't catch more fish. They just fail less and take more punishment with less maintenance. If you take anything away from this video, it's not about brands. It's about matching the reel to you, how you fish, where you fish, as well as how much you're willing to put in to maintain your gear. Most reels, they fish well out of the box. Almost every reel feels good when it's new. Budget, mid-range, premium, they all are smooth when they first come out of the box. The difference is how they feel on day one versus how they feel after a year of use. As the price goes up, you're not buying a reel that's going to catch more fish. You're buying more tolerance in gears, bearings, drag, seals, etc. It equates to tolerance to the salt, tolerance to the sand, tolerance to neglect, and tolerance to time. Expensive reels don't magically perform better. They just fail much more slowly. Mid-range is really the best value for most anglers. Mid-range reels give you better materials over the budget reels, better alignment, better tolerance, better consistency without paying for extreme sealing or overbuilt bodies that you may not need. This is where the price to performance line up best. Like I said, this is the sweet spot in my mind. And maintenance extends value, not price. The biggest factor in how long a reel lasts isn't price, it's how it's treated. Some practical advice to think about. Rinse thoroughly after saltwater use. That's critical. As soon as you get done fishing, when you get home, rinse your gear. Dry it before you store it. Either leave it in the sun to dry out or dry it with a towel. And then occasionally you're going to need to fully disassemble, clean, and lubricate the reel. And if you dunk it, you need to do that immediately after that trip. Otherwise, it will corrode. A $70 reel that's maintained will outlast a $250 reel that's neglected. Maintenance multiplies the value. Neglect kills it. So when expensive reels actually make sense? If you fish salt regularly, if your gear gets dropped in the salt water or the sand, if you're not big into maintenance and you're ignoring that maintenance, that's when spending a little bit more probably makes sense. Most people don't need the most expensive reels on the shelf, but you do need to understand what you're paying for. Once you know that, you can choose confidently. If this helps you, hit subscribe. I'm trying to keep fishing honest and simple.